Hello. We're going to try this again, guys. Looks like we were paused. Somebody was calling in as I was doing this. But as I was saying, thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of Wind Down Wednesday with my lady of the week and credit guru, Miss Adriane Baker. Ladies, in order for us to be truly independent, we have to be financially independent, and that means taking care of our credit. And as the holidays approach, we want to make sure that we're not going overboard spending money on these credit cards. So if you guys will give me a second, I'm going to go ahead and bring Miss Adriane Baker into the wine room. Hello, everyone. Let me see who I have on here as Adriane comes in. Oh, my mother has joined us. Hi, Mommy. I also have, let's see, Phyllis is here. Hi, Alex. Oh, let me give a shout out to Mr. MUA Alex for the beat this week. Yes, thank you, Alex. Hello. Let me see who else we have in here. All right, guys, I'm going to bring Miss Adriane in. Give me 1 second. In the wine room. But let's make sure we toast it up because it is Wind Down Wednesday. Clink, 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 clink.
I guess you need me to turn the camera around. Hey, lady.
Turn the other way.
Oh, yeah. Well, it always comes on that way. I'm like, I'm over here.
It's all good. We're here. Well, hello, beautiful.
Hey, beautiful. Hey. Long time no see. Long time no see.
Right. So listen, as I was telling everyone, in order for us to be independent, we have to make sure that we are financially independent, you know? And part of that is making sure that we take care of our credit. So before we get into our discussion, I just want to make sure you have your glass of wine. What you drinking?
Okay, don't laugh. It's grape wine. Duh. That's it. I'm like, I thought wine came from grapes anyway, but it's sweet grape wine. I'm like, oh, okay. It kind of tastes like Welch's grape juice, sparkling juice, but it's okay.
It's all good. I only drink sweet wine myself, so I'm drinking some Moscato again this week. That's my favorite wine of choice. So why don't you tell us who you are and give us a little bit of information about yourself?
Okay, well, Adriane, and I am a Brooklyn native. I'm always going to rep Brooklyn because I was born and raised. It raised me. I wear many hats. So I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a worker, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a fitness professional.
Okay.
And I'm a credit repair specialist.
Love it. So what made you get into doing credit repair?
Well, like you said, in order for us to be independent, especially at your target market 40 and over, we need to be able to establish our own financial freedom. And that's going to come with being able to having good credit. And as you know, growing up, that's not one of the things that we were taught.
Nope.
So I think now, and the older we get, we have to take it upon ourselves to learn as much as we can about how credit works, how we can make credit work for us. And I think that's the most important thing, is not only us understanding how credit works, how we actually can make credit work for us.
Right. I know, to your point where you said, growing up, this was not a table talk conversation. We didn't talk about credit. No one taught me the pitfalls, the do's and don'ts. So, a lot of us end up learning by trial and error. And so my hope tonight is that I am able to help some people avoid those pitfalls, when it comes to credit, kind of the do's and don'ts pertaining to credit. So as we begin to talk about that, how soon do you think you should start building credit?
Well, I think that that's a twofold. Like, we need to start educating our kids about credit first. And we can start that as soon as we start giving them an allowance.
Right.
So whatever age you give your child an allowance is when you start really teaching them about credit. You're going to teach them about how to earn money. You're going to teach them what it means to borrow money and have to pay back that money. Right. And what goes along with borrowing that money, means interest. So then at this point, you're teaching them, okay, well, you earned this $20 on your allowance. If you borrow money from mommy, you're gonna have to give me back that money plus some. Is it worth it? Now you have to start thinking about, well, is this purchase I'm about to make is going to be worth me having to basically paying double for it? So I think the first step is that we should really start teaching our kids about credit as soon as we start giving them an allowance. But then we should also assist them in building their credit as soon as they hit 18, because the chances are they're going to get, we're not buying their car for them outright, and we have to make that loan. Well, then guess what? Put them on the loan. You go on as a co-signer, you're starting to build up their credit. That can be as early as 18, 16, 17, 18. If you can't, if you're not paying for college outright, they may have to get a student loan. So the more, I mean, they're going to get in credit sooner than we did, sooner than our parents did, because, they're going to get cars sooner than we did. They're going to go to college, and most likely, preferably not, but most likely they'll get student loans. And so from that point, you just start teaching them everything you need to know about credit, because they're going to get it.
Right. And I know you and I talked about, how when you're in college and how they start to come after you in college.
Okay.
You spoke about as far as being at an HBCU, shout out to Clark, and how you were like saying on every corner they were set up to give you a credit card. Why do you think they do that?
Because one, so I think it's a twofold. One, they know that you don't have established credit, so you want to establish that credit. So why not hit while the iron's hot? They're going to hit you fresh right into college. Okay, well, I'll give you the credit card. Most likely, well, I'm going to say our children know, but us growing up, we had to learn credit on our own. Going into it, we didn't know much about credit. We didn't know much about, okay, if I get this credit card, and yes, it's an extra $500 a month that I have to spend, not realizing, well, how much do I have to pay back? So I think they just took advantage of us being naive, and with us not having the knowledge and understanding, yeah, I'm going to get this credit card, and it's going to give me an additional $500, access to $500, but I also have to pay that back. And well, how am I really going to pay that back? Because most likely I don't have a job per se.
Right.
If I do have a job, it's to pay for my necessities at school, books, toiletries, whatever. So I think they just take advantage of the fact that we're green in the whole subject.
Someone said, Lanny B, the stylist, she said, my first year of college, I had every major credit card.
Yes.
So it goes on every campus. I started my son off with a debit card when he was 13. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted him to understand how money works. So I think it's really important that they have the basic understanding of how money works, your spending, him tracking his spending, and just really seeing how financially responsible he would be. Now, do you think that you should put your child on as an authorized user on your card?
Okay, well, that depends on how responsible you're going to be as the card holder.
Right.
Okay, so being that I'm a credit specialist, you're in insurance, most likely we're very careful when it comes to our credit. So if we can assist our children into building that credit score, then yes. But if you're not careful with your own credit, then I would say no. Because as an authorized user, whatever that's reporting on your credit report is going to report on theirs. And if you're missing a payment, it's going to show up on their credit report. So like I said, that's going to be based on the parent. If the parent is a responsible credit, if they have credit worthiness, then yes, you can assist your children. If you do not, if your own credit is questionable, your own spending habits is questionable, your own payment history is questionable, I would say no, because you're going to set them up for failure already. They're going to have to repair something that they didn't even do.
Right, and not talking about the parents who open up credit cards in their children's names. So I suggest to each parent or the child as they turn 18 that you run a credit report, because you may not have done it, but you don't know who may have had access to his or her social security number and could potentially have opened up some credit cards.
And like we discussed before, the whole thing with the authorized user, you don't necessarily have to get permission from the person to add them as an authorized user.
Say
You
that.
just need to have their name. I said, you don't technically have to get someone's permission to add them as an authorized user. All you need is their social security number and their name, and you can add me as an authorized user, and I have no idea until I pull my credit report.
Wow.
And I can pull my credit report, like, well, what is this? And then again, that's something. If it's derogatory and it's going against your credit score, then you have to either fight with the credit reporting agencies or come to a credit repair specialist to help you get those things off. And so you you gotta be mindful and check your credit report like ever so often,
Right.
just so you know what's on there.
Speaking of derogatory things that are reported on a credit report, what do you suggest? Do you suggest people go about getting those things removed? Or do you suggest that they actually get them removed depending on how long they've been on there?
Okay. So one of the things that I don't think that we know as consumers is that there is no law that says that anything has to stay on your credit report for 7 years.
Really? So that's not the
TransUnion
law.
is not the law. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian is a business. They get paid by keeping derogatory items on your credit report. That is why you have to fight with them to get it off. And that's why they don't like just immediately take things off. So you really need, so it's okay. So you can try as an individual, but if you don't have the right legal language, you'll be spinning your wheels for a very long time trying to persuade a company that's getting paid for keeping this stuff on your credit report to actually take it off. So that's where you get a specialist that has a legal team behind them that writes that use the correct legal jargon to present to those credit agencies and to fight to have them taken off. So no, there is no law that says anything has to stay in your credit report for 7 years.
So is there a certain point where you send them a letter and then they have to get back to you? What is that a law? Okay.
They have to get back to you.
And
so
how long back to you?
Well, you have to at least give them anywhere from 30 to 45 days to respond.
Okay.
And sometimes what they'll do, they'll say, "Oh, well, no, it's going to stay on there." You get another letter, and you write another letter because again, there's no law. They're just getting paid by reporting this negative stuff on your credit report. So that's why you'll see different credit repair specialists. You'll see someone that says, "Oh, I can clear your credit report. You pay me $1,500." That's actually no.
Okay.
It doesn't cost that much.
Okay. Good to know.
You need to get, because most of the time what they do is they just put in dispute.
Okay.
So they put in dispute long enough for you to go do whatever it is you need to do, whether it's go buy a house, car, and then in 60 days it's right back on here. Okay. So my company, what we do is once it's off, it's off. It's not coming back. Now, the only way you'll have any more derogatory things on your credit report is if you do something to put more derogatory things on your credit report after we scrubbed it off. Now, I'm not going to say that. Let's say I'm just going to throw a number out there. Let's say you have 25 derogatory items on your credit report. The first round of letters that we send off, we may get 10 off. We may not get the other 15. It may take 6 months to get the other 15 off, but in those 6 months, all 25 are gone, and those 25 are not coming back. They're gone. So you're at a clean slate with derogatory items, and we all know credit is more than just derogatory items, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes into your credit score. But that's one thing that we can help you with. The other parts, you have to do it yourself.
So as you talk about derogatory reporting, what does a credit score, what is it comprised of? Like, what are some of the factors that go into your actual credit score? Okay,
your credit score is going to be your credit mix, which is going to be the type of credit you have. You're going to have installment, revolving. Installment is going to include your mortgage, your car payment, and revolving credit. Store credit, if you can stay away from it, just stay away from store credit cards. But those things. So the credit mix is going to be your credit utilization. So, okay, example, they give you credit cards. You get $1,000 limit. So you're thinking, Okay, well, let me go and I got to go get a new tire. And the tire is $400, $500.
Right.
Guess what? Your utilization is too high. They want you to only use 30%
Mm.
of your.
Say that,
So
Adrienne, what's the utilization? What's the percentage that you should use?
30%. So if you have a credit card that has $1,000 credit limit, you should only use 300
Mm.
if
Okay,
you
but
want
if
to
you do
maintain a good credit
more
score.
than 300, can you pay it back before the cycle goes, or do you just say no, just stay away from using more than the 30%?
So what you want to do is you want to make sure that each credit card reports to the agency on a different time schedule. Some may report every 30 days, some may report every 60 days. You want to figure out when they report. And between, like, let's say you have to use more than 300. So let's just say if you have to use more than 300, you want to make sure that by the time they report it to the credit bureau that you're under the 300,
Gotcha.
the 30%.
The 30%.
So that's one of the things. Okay, of course, your payment history. That's a lot. That's actually the highest percentage of your credit score.
Okay.
So payment history is 35% of your credit score.
Wow.
Um, then you want to make sure you don't want those hard inquiries. And those are like applying for credit. Just keep applying for credit time after time because even though they is only like a 5 point for every like hard inquiry, but if you're doing like maybe 5 or 10 in a cycle, that's like 50 points off your credit score. So you want to make sure, and then new credit, be careful with the new credit. And then you also don't want to close out any credit cards.
So don't close out any credit card. So if you pay off a credit card, you shouldn't close it out.
You cannot, because one, if you close it out, it's going to wipe out your payment history. And if you have a good payment history, it's going to take that away from your credit score.
Okay.
So you just leave it open.
Okay, guys, do not close out your credit cards. Pay it off. Just don't close.
Yeah. You see what Bella said, only 30%. I just experienced this and my credit dropped 11 points. So yeah,
Wow.
that's that
Okay.
utilization.
So you mentioned hard inquiry. So what's the difference between a hard inquiry and a soft inquiry?
Okay, so a hard inquiry is going to be when you're trying to apply for like a car loan, a new credit card, anything where they actually have to pull your credit to see if they're going to extend the credit to you.
That's a
A
hard.
soft is if you pull your credit report or those pre-approvals. That's
Oh,
how you get all those pre-approvals in the mail. They already know what your credit score is because they did a soft pull, and
got
those don't go against you.
okay. For me, I make sure that I have my credit locked. I
Mhm.
freeze all of my credit reports, and I do that so that no one else can apply for credit. And if they do, they'll have to notify me first. Do you recommend doing that?
Well, I recommend doing that because of the fraud. Absolutely. And
Okay.
I also recommend that you get a service where you can actually look at your credit report on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Something that will notify you instantly that your credit score went up or your credit score went down. You
Okay.
had an inquiry. So the thing is that we spent a lot of years not knowing what was on our credit report, believing that we could get a credit report maybe once or twice a year. And that once or twice a year, you're looking like, oh, okay. But guess what will happen if you can see it every day or every month? You'll be like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, now I need to fix that. Oh, nope, nope. I need to get this off. You can get stuff done and handled way before a year from now or 5 years from now, whenever you looking at your credit report or you deciding I want to go out and get some new credit, a car loan or a mortgage.
So,
So I want you to do anything that's going to protect your credit and
mhm.
anything that's going to allow you to manage, meaning you can see it visually.
So right now, if someone's looking to maybe build some credit because they're potentially looking to buy a house, how far in advance should they start doing that? And what type of credit should they start building?
Okay, so that goes back to that credit mix, and the credit mix is that installment. So yeah, okay, so now you're looking for a mortgage, but most likely you have a car payment. Now, if you don't have a car payment, they have now created services where you can get
Yeah.
your actual rent reported to your credit report
Mhm.
as an installment so they can see that credit history. Get instead of getting a regular credit card, get a secure credit card. It still reports the same, but you control the balance.
Oh,
Right?
I didn't know that.
or they have this one. I'm not promoting them, but they have this one credit card where you actually put the money in, and you get some of it back at the end of the term. So it's like a loan/credit card.
Mhm.
That keep your payment history. If you have credit, keep your payment history good. Get that utilization down. So like if you're looking at your credit and you see that, oh, I'm at 45%, get that 15% down.
Yeah.
And so however long that takes. But I would not start really looking for a house until I got my credit score at a decent rate. Because what happens is you got a credit score of 630.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to look for this house. You're working on your credit, but you're starting to look for this house. What happens if you see the house of your dreams? You're
Right.
gonna still go for it.
Right. No, they will. Yep.
Opposed to you just, get the credit right first, then you go look for the house. And now when you get the house of your dreams, you get a lower interest rate. Opposed to the interest rate you would have got on that 630 credit score or that 540.
And so, do you recommend a year in advance, 6 months in advance? What do you recommend?
I recommend a year because you just don't know. And it all depends on your credit report.
Okay.
Because if you have been doing what you should be doing, then you may not even have to wait. But if you know that these things are against you, the utilization, you may have some derogatory items. If you know those things are against you, work on those first, and however long it takes. But I would definitely start a year before and get it to a good score before you even get with that realtor. Because once again, they want the sale.
Right.
So you decide if you want to pay this interest rate.
Right.
And you know what? I was talking to someone today, and some, not all, don't realize that your credit score has a lot to do with you applying for a job, your auto insurance,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, it affects.
Yeah,
It affects
yeah,
everything. Mm-hmm.
So even if you decide, sorry, I got something in mind. Even if you decide that I'm going to don't want to have debt,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. Don't have debt.
Right.
But still, you got to find a way of maintaining a good credit score because why pay more in interest when you don't have to? And
Absolutely.
that's another thing that goes back to I like to keep my money to myself. I
Absolutely.
don't
I can't
like to
touch
give
my
it.
own money, and I can
Yeah,
spend somebody else's money. Oh,
yeah.
I'm with it all day.
I don't like it. I don't like understanding why I couldn't get that 0.009 interest rate. Why I gotta get that 2.7? I want that 0.9 that you advertise for. Who's
Absolutely.
that for? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
always say it's the difference between being able to go into a dealership and not give them any money and walk out with a brand new car. There is no greater feeling than that because I'm feeling like winning. I didn't give you nothing, but you gave me this $40,000, $50,000 car, and I didn't have to put any money down, and my payments are low.
I do not believe in down payments on an automobile because that down payment goes to the dealership.
Right.
It doesn't go. It goes to the dealership for them to have made money. Well, I feel like this. My little $3,000
Right.
can sit in my bank account
Low.
and make me some money.
Exactly.
And you figure out how you gonna make some money, but I'm gonna buy this car. I'm gonna get this car right here. So yes. And another thing that with buying a car, try to go in there with your own money and not having to get financed through them because you have buying power. You
Right.
can walk away and go
Right.
to the dealership down the street and
Absolutely.
get a car. So it's really important. I, it's credit is more important than we think.
Right.
We think that credit has everything to do with just getting credit cards.
Right.
No. It doesn't. It has to do with your building your own wealth.
Yeah.
Controlling your own money.
Yep.
And not being, and I'm gonna say this, not being interest rate, not interest rate, interest rate.
I love that. Interest rate. I love that.
Yeah, because you look at it and you're saying, well, why is my interest rate? You advertising the 0.09. Well, what do you have to have that 0.09? Mm-hmm. Let me explain that to me. What I need to do to get that? Well, my credit score is at 850. I should be a perfect candidate for that 0.9 or whatever the lowest interest rate that you're offering.
Absolutely.
So I think if you go in there knowing what you got, you can bargain a little more.
You know, it's so important for me because I had to learn the hard way. You know, like you and I talked about, nobody set me down and said anything. And I was like 25. I was living in LA and I broke up with my boyfriend and I tried to get an apartment. And the landlord ran my credit report and he says to me, he's like, have you seen your credit report? And I was like, well, what's a credit report? And so
I don't know.
I was like, well, what you mean? Oh, you mean that those cards that I had back then, I was supposed to pay that back and then it affect me and I wouldn't be able to get an apartment. And I remember calling my grandmother, and my grandmother had a 6th grade education, but she was a homeowner. And every 3 years, she bought a brand new 5th Avenue. And I was trying to figure this out in my head. And I remember talking to her and she said, baby, you have 2 things in life, your credit and your word. Without either one of them, you can't do anything. And that just stuck with me. And I was committed to cleaning up my credit report. And more importantly, I wanted to be a homeowner at the age of 30. And so that's what I did. I grabbed every book that I could find to read up, because there comes a point in life where you can't say, no one told me, right? The information is out there. There are people like you who have information that are willing to help. So we can't use that excuse after a certain time. And so as you and I talk about, you talk about financial freedom, Adrienne, and what particularly does that mean to you?
Residual income. It means that while I'm sleeping, my money's working.
I love it.
And it doesn't, and you know, it means something different to everyone else. I don't know if that translate that I want to be a billionaire or a millionaire, but I want my money to work harder than me.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to enjoy some of the freedoms of being an educated woman, paying my dues, working in corporate America, that when I decide I want to take this trip, that I don't have to be like, oh, right, I gotta wait for 2 years from now so I can save up. Because I'll have this conversation with a lot of people that they want to, let's say, start a business, and you have to buy equipment, and they have to save for it because the credit is not, they don't have the credit score to get the loan. And I say, well, how are you really going to save for a $30,000 truck off your salary now? Because basically your salary now is supplementing your current lifestyle. So how are you going to take money from that to save for a $30,000 truck in a few months? But no, what you're going to have to do is get another job, get another job, and get another job. And I think that's something that I don't want to do. Like, I don't want to live my life where if I'm working, I want to work for me. If I'm constantly having to go out there and working a 9 to 5 for somebody else, just to be able to do the things that I want to do. So putting yourself in a position where you can get your money to start working for you, and whatever that looks like, if you do Bitcoin, if you invest in the stock. You and I both came from a mutual funds background. Yep. You know, so we have no excuse not to know exactly how to make our money work for us. Exactly. That's how we met. We worked at a mutual funds company.
And not Adrienne, I think about just how lucky we were that when we opened our first business. So Adrienne and I had a business. We owned a beauty salon and apothecary in Atlanta. And when we were going through that process, it was the most vulnerable process that we went through because we had to expose everything. We had to expose our financial statements. We had to expose our credit, all those things. And we were lucky enough that we did not have to take out of a loan, because remember, we were going to go that route. But we were both homeowners, right? And we were able to pull the equity out of those homes in order to finance a business. But because we had outstanding credit, we were able to secure the lease for the business, as well as not have to take out of a loan. So that is another reason why your credit is so important, because it helps you build generational wealth, right?
Yes.
Adrienne, can you tell everyone how they can get in contact with you? Can you give them your information just in case we have some additional questions after we get off the live.
Oh, okay. Well, you can always get me on Instagram. That's actually probably the best way. I have two handles. The first one is FinFit Credit, and the second one is BKATL Beauty, and that's probably the one I'm under now. Just send me a DM, and we can go from there. That's probably the best way to get in contact with me. Yeah.
Okay. All right, ladies.
I'm still working, but I'm working, but I'm working on my exit.
And working smarter and not.
I'm working way smarter than I used to work.
Right.
I can tell you that much.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And being that we got these kids that's about to go to college.
What?
Yes.
Can you believe it?
We got these babies about to go to college next year. This time next year, we're going to pick them up for the holidays.
Right. Right. All right, ladies. Look, once again, as I always said, this is what this series is all about, is providing you all great information, and it's free.
Sharonda said, love you guys. We love you, Sharonda.
Hey, Sharonda. You know, once again, if you have any additional questions, you want some information, be sure to reach out to Adriane. She's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure she has no problem giving you the lowdown.
All right. I have no problem. I'm all for, look, I'm for helping my community, because I wish somebody would have helped me before I got on credit cards in college.
Right. Right. All right, girl, thank you so much for taking time out your busy schedule to be here with me tonight in the wine room. Let's go on and toast it out.
Toast it up. Hey, with my sweet grape wine.
Grape,
I think it's like an oxymoron. Wine grape.
All right, girl. Okay. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
I will.
Give
You too.
For me.
I will. Hug everybody. Kiss Saya.
All right, girl. And I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
All right, guys. That's it. She gave some gems, you know, and I hope you guys will, like I said, make sure you're handling your credit, because credit is everything. And like I said, my grandmama said, you got two things in life, your word and your credit. And to truly be independent, you have to be financially independent. So I hope you guys will join me next week for another edition of Wind Down Wednesday. Until then, remember, being a lady never goes out of style. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye.